Good morning. Welcome back, everyone. I am so excited. And the reason I'm very excited is that this is the 25th episode of the Bookstack Coffee Chat. Yay, 6 months in. Can you believe it? Yeah, I started this back in November, really being clueless about what I was going to talk about, other than trying to connect readers and authors with clean reads and Christian books. And so here we are. I've been sharing a lot of recommendations over the weeks, the last 6 months, and a friend had showed me how she was trying to keep in a notebook all of the books that I've recommended so that she could go back and read them one day. And so that gave me the idea that, especially now that we are on our milestone 25th episode, maybe I should go ahead and create a list for all of you. So I am compiling all of my book recommendations into a blog post, and I should have that up by this weekend at the latest. So I'll be sure to share that with you. If you are not on my mailing list, to get updates about my new blog posts and reminders about these episodes and other things that I offer, especially for writers, be sure to drop a note in the comments, or if you are considering writing your life story or a nonfiction book, but especially life story, I have a new resource for you. Let me go ahead and share that to you. It's a 4-step primer to help you start writing your life story. It's a free resource. You just go there to my website, dailybickle.com, Life Story 101, and you can download that for free. And if you are looking for writing prompts to help you write your life story, I also have that book available on Amazon. And let me get a picture of that up there for you. The 1-year collection of weekly writing prompts, Write Your Life Story, one question at a time. So those are available to you because I believe everyone has a story worth writing and sharing with family members and loved ones, including you. So I encourage you to check those out. But getting back to the things that I have to share with you today as far as books. So today's topic is about background settings of stories and the reading habits of bookworms. I am a self-proclaimed bookworm, bibliophile, book nerd, you name it, that's me. I love books, but I love good books, and especially the clean reads and Christian books out there. Let me grab a drink real quick. Allergies, got the scratchy throat here. I was sitting outside on my front porch this morning doing my Bible reading, and so the pollen has gotten me. But anyway, so today I'm sharing 2 more ebooks. Yes, I did it. I went ahead and got a Kindle membership, a Kindle Unlimited membership, because it was getting harder for me to get to the library and get them back in time without paying dues. I'm not giving up on my library. I love libraries. But I am discovering there is some ease of use with ebooks. Now, I'm still getting used to the whole scrolling thing and clicking. That's not my favorite thing to do. I love the tangible holding a book. But this week, I read a new book by Dawn Klinge called The Biltmore Girl. And let me get a picture of that book since I don't have the physical copy to hold up like I normally do. That book looks like this. Biltmore Girl. It's one of her historic hotels series. I think she has 3 of them. But she, I became a friend with her over on Instagram. And so I am excited to share her book with you because, and Dawn, if you are watching this, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I believe this is a self-published book. And so I was really excited to be able to connect you with her and this book, especially if you love historical fiction. So hers is called Biltmore Girl. And just going on the title alone, I really didn't even read the back cover blurb about it. I just assumed, living in North Carolina, that it was about the Biltmore estate over in Asheville that not John, that Vanderbilt had built back, I forget even when, in the 1800s. But anyways, the largest house in America, or at least it was at one point. So I was assuming it was about that. But no, it was about the Biltmore Hotel in New York City that was built in 1913. The story itself takes place in 1968. So it's really it's an enjoyable read. It's an easy read that provides a little bit of historical background, not only about that hotel, but about the time period, 1968, the Vietnam War, a lot of sit-ins and protests, different things of that nature are incorporated into the story. So it's a good read that way. I like the historical background, and it's, feature characters make wise moral decisions about the life choices that they have to make. So a good analogy for this book is if you love Hallmark stories or movies, you're going to love this book. So that's that recommendation. And the other book that I was reading, let me stop that scroll, is a book called, literally, I'd Rather Be Reading by Anne Bogle. And when I saw the title of that book, I said, I have to read that. That's so me. Let me see what that looks like. So that book cover right there, sorry, I just pulled that off of Amazon. I didn't really download very clearly. But I'd Rather Be Reading by Anne Bogle. So this is really an interesting perspective about readers, and herself included. So she shares her own personal reading journeys, and it's entertaining as well. She's a humorous writer. It's also thought-provoking, about why and how we read the books we do. And some of the chapter topics that she shares are how we organize our books. And I never thought about organizing books in some of the ways that some of her friends do. So that was interesting. She discusses about how we obtain our books. There are a couple of chapters about libraries in there. I'm a fan of libraries, so that was interesting. And also bookstores, her bookstore memories and things that she's bought. And then I thought this was interesting too, about she leads into the book about the things we hide about our reading habits. She gave the example of how, some English lit professors haven't necessarily read the classics, those literary classics that everyone would expect them to have read. And so they keep that secret because they feel like they're less than or not a proper English, literature professor if they haven't read it. And so she goes into more detail about how that plays into the average reader's life. And so just thought that was a really, really good book. Liked how she said about how we change as readers and we come into our own as readers, depending on the life circumstances we're in, our age, that kind of thing. So it's really, like I said, thought-provoking. And there were a couple of quotes I just wanted to share with you from her book. Just read over here. She says, books are an essential part of our lives and of our life stories. And I'm a fan of life stories. So books are an essential part of our lives and of our life stories. For us, reading isn't just a hobby or a pastime, it's a lifestyle. And I agree with that. And then she says also, envy is a deadly sin, but bookshelf envy has proven to be a source of inspiration about reorganizing her shelves. I thought that was really cute. I like that, bookshelf envy. And that's a thing, because I've been to some people's houses and I've been like, oh, I love their bookshelves. And oh, that's a really good book. I'd love to have that book. So I thought that was really interesting. She talks about, literary destinations, about how they've taken family vacations based on trying to visit certain bookshops and libraries. I thought that was interesting. And then she talking about the habits of readers and how we get so absorbed into reading an interesting book. She said, your house is a disaster because a clean house is a sign of a misspent life, and you spend yours reading. I could attest that I have a messy house a lot because I do enjoy reading and writing. So between the two of them, my poor family. And then another one that I was going to share is about, she says that she is an avid rereader of good books. And I agree with that as well. If there is a really, really good book, I want to purchase it and I will reread it. Not necessarily, the same twice in 1 year, but I will go back and revisit it. There are several books. Goodness, growing up, especially the Little House on the Prairie books, I had to have read each of those 5 times, at least. I've read, Gone with the Wind multiple times, Little Women multiple times. There are lots of ones that I like to go back to that are my favorites. And she says here, her reasoning, the purpose behind rereading a good book. And she says, a good book is exciting to return to because even though I've been there before, the landscape is always changing. I notice something new each time I read a great book. As Italo Calvino wrote, not sure how to pronounce that, a classic is a book that has never finished saying what it has to say. Great books keep surprising me with new things. And then she says, a good book, when we return to it, will always have something new to say. It's not the same book, and we're not the same reader. And that ties in perfectly to the Bible. Every time we pick up the Bible, we can learn something new. Even if we have read that same parable, that same Bible story, that same verse multiple times throughout our lives, God can reveal new things each time we read it. I was just rereading, I believe it was yesterday, in the book of Numbers, and about how Moses is leading the Israelites through the wilderness, and yet again they're grumbling, they don't have water to drink. And so I was reading it, just surface reading it, and then it got to the point about how God was reprimanding Moses. And I was like, well, what did he do wrong? I totally missed what he did wrong. So then I had to go back and more closely read. Yes, there it is. God revealed to me, that God spoke, or the Lord told Moses to speak to the rock and it would bring forth water. But what did Moses do? He instead used his rod to strike the rock twice instead of speaking to it. And so God said that it was his unbelief that would then keep him from entering the promised land, which I thought was interesting because it wasn't his disobedience. It was his unbelief that kept him from entering the promised land. So that was something that was revealed to me yesterday. So like I said, it's something new all the time. And also, learning new things and wisdom. I wanted to share a couple of verses with you. Let me get my mouse to work here. Let me see. I see a comment here. Let me just see. Yes. Robin says, yes, real books are the best in libraries and bookstores. Love a good used bookstore. Yes, I do too. But I love my Kindle too. With the library, also join Libby and also Hoopla for reader options for reading and audiobooks. Ooh, Libby and Hoopla. I will definitely look into that, Robin. Thank you for sharing that. I'm not familiar with either of those. So about getting wisdom each time we read the Bible, I wanted to share with you James 1:5, and this is from the New Life Version. It says, if you do not have wisdom, ask God for it. He is always ready to give it to you and will never say you are wrong for asking. And one of the ways that he speaks to us and shares to us is through his word, right? And the other verse that I wanted to share with you today is Proverbs 2, verses 1 through 7, and this is coming from the New King James Version. And it says, my son, if you receive my words and treasure my commands within you, so that you incline your ear to wisdom and apply your heart to understanding. Yes, if you cry out for discernment and lift up your voice for understanding, if you seek her as silver and search for her as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. So all we need to do is seek and ask and knock, and he is more than happy to provide the answers and give us guidance and wisdom. So that I hope encouraged you. I hope it gave you a couple of new things to read and look into. And Robin gave me a couple of things to look into this coming week as well. Again, I encourage you, if you have not already considered it or started, to write your life story. Please do that. Even if you don't think you have a story worth sharing, you really do. Your children, your grandchildren, multiple descendants later will be so intrigued by what you've lived through. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So go ahead, like I said, go to my website, Life Story 101, get started with that free resources. And in the meantime, I look forward to seeing you back next week, 10 a.m. Here on Facebook and YouTube. And I hope that you have a blessed week. Bye. Take care.